Okay. Sorry, I'm just sharing the new link. So just bear with me for a second. I've got to post it back on the original post. A new link. As technical as there was interference with the first one. All right, so how annoying. So we've had some interference going on. I'll just wait a little while, see if I can get anyone on live with the new link. Okay, new link posted. Start again. Sorry, 3 minutes, nearly 4 minutes now. I mean, just typing in the computer. Sorry for that. Some friends just messaged me saying we had some interference, malevolent interference on that other line. I've now switched to my phone, which is a stronger internet connection today. My home network was cutting in and out. So we'll see how this goes. So I'm just going to have to start. I'll have to start from the start because that other people were having trouble. The other video was lagging because of my internet connection. So I'll start from the start, unfortunately. So, as I mentioned in the previous video, sorry, I've got a lot of brightness here, don't I? Today, the topic of discussion is malevolent, diving deeper into the malevolent manipulation of consciousness, focusing on in particular in the health industry. And I want to talk about my journey as far as as my health being part of my awakening process. I also want to go into how consciousness development prevents and can reverse and prevent disease, and how I see from my multi-dimensional perspective, how the health industry will be in the future, in the not too distant future either. So, all right. So, the sickness program. So I touched on in the now I'm going to probably forget some of the things I mentioned in that first video. I'll try and do the best I can to go over what I said, what I was saying, and hopefully this connection is better. So no one's on live. Let me just double check everyone can see the new link. New stream, new link. Again, no one's on live, even though I've got friends telling me they were trying to watch me. Okay, one. All right, but this is definitely a better connection. So hopefully I won't have any dropouts. People can go back and watch this replay. I'll delete that other video so there's no confusion on my YouTube channel. So yeah, today I want to talk about going to my part of my health journey and how that was part of my awakening process, and how I found out that the medical system is actually a eugenics program and designed to keep people at a lower state of consciousness. So I was talking about my health journey and how at 16 years of age, even though I grew up on a farm, on my grandparents' farm, eating a lot of homegrown produce, drinking unprocessed cow's milk. By the time I got to 16, we stopped milking the cow once I reached about 8, I think it was, and started buying milk like everyone else, because Dad got too busy to milk the cow every day, so it was just easier to buy some from the shops, and everyone thought that was fine anyway, and had no idea what mass-producing milk products, how they process it, what it does to milk. It kills it, basically. So instead of having a live bacteria and beneficial bacteria product, it now becomes a dead product, and highly inflammatory for the human body. So by the time I reached 16, my body had had enough of that, consuming that, and it was reflected in my health. I was getting constant mucus and inflammation, and my lungs were starting to wheeze. I was coughing and wheezing and developing asthma. So Mum took me to the doctor. The medical system wants to has a drug remedy for every symptom out there. That's their symptom. That's their treatment, is a symptomatic treatment. And they'll try and suppress your symptoms with their product. It's not a cure. It's a suppression. It's just try to alleviate some of your symptoms. So it doesn't address the cause. So the doctor gave me a nasal puffer. That didn't work. I went back, got an inhaler, and a week later I realised that wasn't working either. And so my sister was into health and reading books on health at the time, and she lent me a book called Fit for Life, which had a chapter, and she suggested I read the chapter on dairy. I read that chapter on how dairy affects the human body and how it's one of the world's most highly inflammatory foods, and that made total sense to me. I gave up dairy, all my symptoms went away, and my lungs cleared up. So that was the first sign to me at 16 years of age that the medical fraternity doesn't really know what they're doing. And then so I was good for a while, and then in my younger 20s I started to develop hay fever and some allergies, and the hay fever was predominantly around the summer grasses and hay, just like the name suggests. So I was working on the farm surrounded by hay. It's during the summer seasons, working for my uncle hay carting, and it started to affect me so bad that I couldn't do it anymore. I had to give it up. I was constantly blowing my nose and feeling run down. I then moved into the city for a while, not long after that. So antihistamines had a bit of a helped me a little bit back then, but I didn't want to take a drug. Even at that age, I still didn't want to be taking drugs all the time. So moving into the city helped, away from the summer grasses around that was on the family farm. But a couple of years later, it all kind of returned, even though I was living in the city. So obviously it wasn't really that much to do with summer grasses. It wasn't really allergies, which I found out. It was just toxins building up in my system. At 25 years of age, I read that book, Fit for Life, again, because I was starting to have to stay home from work for bad hay fever, and antihistamines weren't really working. So the medical system wants to put you on a drug. Again, that was a clue for me that they don't really know what they're doing. Because I detoxed my body. I read that book from back to front, Fit for Life, which goes into food combining, detoxifying, how eating in a certain manner and at certain times of the day, what you should be eating. So I was just having fruit in the morning, which is cleansing and detoxifying, fruit and fruit juices. And then at lunchtime, I was just having salad and like a salad wrap or a salad sandwich or something like that. I wasn't having meat at lunchtime, and I wasn't combining it with complex carbs. And at mealtime, I might have some meat and vegetables. So doing that food combining detoxification with the juices and fruit in the morning, I also happen to at the same time start using a Zen Chi oxygen massager, which stimulates a lymphatic detox. It's a little device that you put your feet on, and your feet go like from side to side, and it realigns your spine, relaxes your muscles, but stimulates lymphatic detoxification. So with the change of diet and using that product, I went through 8 days of hell as my body started to release all these toxins. But on the 9th day, I was completely reborn. I felt like a whole new person. And all those allergies went away. So were they allergies, or were they my body trying to eliminate toxins? And my understanding now is that that was exactly the case. It was just a build-up of toxins. What people consider allergies is when you're sneezing and coughing and blowing your nose and stuff like that. That's your body just trying to eliminate those toxins out of your body. So this was a strong clue, again, that the medical system doesn't really know what they're on about. And that started me on a journey of exploring wellness and being the healthiest version of myself possible. And I started reading a lot of books. I started reading books on metabolism and your metabolic rate and metabolic type diet, your blood types and how your blood types can affect how some foods for some blood types are poison. Like there's so in that book it splits you up into three different the food splits foods up into three different categories for your blood type, whether it's beneficial, benign, or a poison, basically, to your system. And prior to reading that book, I'd already started to tune into how my body was reacting to foods, and I eliminated red meat at 20 later that year, at 25, because I realized it wasn't good for me, and that book also had that in my avoid category, so that made sense. I was still not eating dairy, and sure enough, in that book it said for my blood type to avoid dairy. Grains were beneficial, but I learned that the modern grains weren't. So man's influence on farming and farming practices and the toxins used, the chemicals used on grain production, that basically in Australia in particular and the larger Western countries, big agriculture was steered by corporations, and they were using their basically GM grain. They didn't call it GM back then, but it really was. It was their grain that they'd modified to get the best yield. Money. So it was all around getting the best crop. So anyway, all this stuff led me into exploring all this further, and I really improved. I was able to exercise better. I started I was training harder, like doing bodybuilding style training. I was looking into how athletes improve their health and get the most out of their bodies, what nutrition they use. So that was the next thing, nutrition. What does that mean? Well, basically, our body is made up of minerals. So in part of that journey of exploring health, I got connected with a few companies that were selling health products, and these health products I found were amazing on my health and also anyone that was using them. And I couldn't understand at the time why something like this wasn't being shared in a broader way, like on a mass scale, like this information of how nutrition can affect your health. And then one of those companies, they often steered their teams to listening to a doctor called Dr. Joel Wallach, as he had a presentation, a 2-hour lecture that he did focusing on nutrition. And Dr. Wallach was he was no dummy, he was a Nobel Prize nominee. He had 20 years of veterinary science under his belt and then 10 years as a GP. And part of that journey involved him doing autopsies. He did a lot of autopsies at zoos. and then eventually did autopsies on humans. So he had 17,000 autopsies on animals and a few thousand on humans under his belt as part of his ongoing research into why people die and mortality rates. And his conclusion after all that time, along with his understanding, his journey in veterinary science, which at the time was preventative medicine, prior to Big Pharma moving into that industry, veterinary science was all about preventative medicine, preventative health practices, which was nutritionally focused. So his autopsies on animals and humans showed that we die much younger than we should, and the majority of the causes are nutritional deficiencies. So again, that taught me a lot. He toured, this guy, and that presentation called Dead Doctors Don't Lie, and he called it that because doctors die younger than the average person. And he couldn't understand why people would listen to why would you put doctors on a pedestal when they're dying younger than just the average human? When they follow their protocols, they die at a younger age. And yet there's cultures around the world living into over 100 to 120 in different parts of the world who don't have Western medicine. So I highly recommend looking at that. That presentation I'll post in the comments later on. I can't recommend it enough. So yeah, again, big lessons for me, and showed me how corrupt the medical system was, because Dr. Joel Wallach tried to get this information out to the world, or to America at first and then to the world, and he was getting blocked everywhere he went. He was getting zero support first. The only people that were supporting him were smaller companies that were making nutritional products, because they understood, they knew how important nutrition is to the human body in keeping it healthy. But all other major fraternities within the medical field were blocking Dr. Wallach everywhere he went. So this basically led me into further study, like I said, further study into health and wellness, which also showed me how corrupt the system was. I came across there's a guy touring Australia who founded Credence Publications, and he wrote numerous books. So he was a researcher, he was a journalist and a researcher, and Philip Day, and I think I've got that right, his name. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. But if you look up Credence Publications, you'll come across his website. He also was finding what I did, and he made it his mission to research the corruption in the health industry, and he started seeking out people like Dr. Wallach and other doctors who've been suppressed with their knowledge that didn't fit the bill, didn't fit the current system, those that were going against the grain, so to speak, of the system, of the medical system. And he started seeking them out and interviewing them, and he went to, I don't know, dozens of doctors and spoke to them, and found out that there was other doctors that were also exposing the corruption in the system, and some of those doctors were no longer alive. And the ones he did find alive went into hiding and had to find a whole new career, and had to find another way of earning a living and surviving, because they were shut down. So not only were they suppressed, but they were threatened, coerced, and if they didn't listen, even worse. Like I said, some of them were no longer alive, and they had mysterious kind of circumstances around their passing. So that led me into, well, who is this? Who is doing this threatening? Who is killing doctors? Why is the system so against these health protocols that are having amazing results? Why weren't they being explored, studied, and made public? Well, that's a big rabbit hole, isn't it? As some of you are probably aware. That led me to finding basically the founders of modern medicine and the Rockefellers. The Rockefeller Institute. If you do your study on them, you'll find that they are pretty much the founders of modern medicine, and they are members of secret societies. And you'll find that those secret societies and those members of secret societies are basically all connected to the banking cartel, our financial system, and because they run that, they've got all the money in the world, they fund just about every medical fraternity, every medical university, and all the systems, hospitals, drug companies, big pharma. It's all tied in, and all roads lead back to the same few super wealthy families. I probably don't need to go down that rabbit hole too much, and if I do, I'm risking this video being removed. You can all look into that on your own if you're not aware of it. Most of you probably already are anyway. But I recommend having a listen to a video, which I can share a link to later, which is the secret covenant of the Illuminati, which goes into, it's like 14-15 minutes. It's a document written 100 plus years ago, and that covenant talks about how these secret societies are going to control the medical fraternity and use it to suppress consciousness through poisoning humans, basically. Through not just medicine, but poisoning our food, poisoning the air, poisoning the water. So they're getting you from every angle. And which confirmed to me why detoxification in my journey was so amazing. So I started to eliminate some of those toxins. If you don't detox some of these toxins, then they stay in your system. The body will eliminate most of them, but if you don't give it a chance to, well, you're just going to keep topping up, aren't you? They're going to stay in your system and start to affect your health. So not only does that comment explain the toxins and how they do it. But it goes into how they manipulate humans into believing their system is actually working for them. It's actually helpful. So I tell people they've set up that medical fraternity like a casino. You know, a casino is set up that the odds are in the favor of the house. So the house ultimately always wins. Individuals will there'll always be enough, some individuals having a win, and just enough to give people a hope, some hope to return and go again. And the medical fraternity is set up like that. If you look at the cancer industry, which was an industry I was studying for a while, and I worked in an alternative cancer therapy centre for a while. Basically across all cancers, across the board, so not isolating the different types of cancers, but a general winning percentage in modern medicine is about 10%, which is similar to a casino. I think they allow about a 10-15% win rate at the casinos. Like I said, just to give people enough hope to keep coming back. That's exactly how the medical system works. But they also, in their treatment, they don't tell you that you're actually healing yourself. So a lot of the times, if you look into the placebo effect, there has been some research done on pharmaceutical drugs, and it shows that the majority of them don't actually have any healing properties whatsoever. But the placebo effect and the people believing that they're taking something is going to help them heal actually makes them heal. So it's their own belief system that heals them, not the drug itself. So our minds are very powerful, and that's something that if you tap into, you can use without the drug. There's people that have just used that alone. They're focused on that alone in strengthening their belief in their own healing ability and giving themselves the environment to heal, and they've healed. So then there's other systems out there. So I mentioned that modern medicine has a 10% success rate with cancer. Well, there's other treatment facilities out there that have a 90% success rate with cancers. 90%. And most people probably have never heard of it. For example, the Gerson Institute in Germany. Been running since the 1950s. Multi-generational facility. And their protocols, you can go in for a month and stay there in their facility to get to really guarantee you a good result. It's best to go there. You can do it from home, but most people are more successful if they go and stay somewhere which supports their journey, their healing journey. So they've got a month protocol, and then they've got a 2-month protocol. Most people, if they catch their disease or cancer at early stages, just need a month. Those that are more advanced in their illness probably need the 2-month protocol. But basically, it's a system of detoxification mainly. They use juicing, fasting, enemas, raw foods to rid the body of all those toxins that are contributing factor to disease, and allow the body to heal itself. So what they're doing is creating an environment that gives the body an opportunity to heal itself. So by removing the toxins out of the system, there's less stress, the body's not working so hard, it can then put energy into the healing process instead of the coping and detoxification process. And so why it actually could have been higher than 90s, but a lot of people unfortunately leave it too late. And the 10% that don't get success from those programs, it's just often because, well, two factors. On a soul level, they don't want to be here anymore, and also they left it too late. Their body's shutting down too much. They can't recover from it, but mainly because on a deeper level they've chosen to leave anyway. So by learning that, and that showed me how powerful the body is, how powerful we are if you're given an opportunity to heal, and then also, again, confirming how the medical fraternity is a eugenics program. It's not designed to heal people. It's designed to keep them in an ever-going cycle of sickness and disease. It's a sickness system. Western medicine should be called the sickness fraternity. They want customers, and that's been set up by the secret societies. They want people on a just healthy enough or just sick enough that they can keep working, pay the bills, and pay their taxes. For those ones that do serve a purpose, but for those that aren't feeding that system, the tax system and the financial system, they're happy for them to pass away, to keep the population at a certain level. And we've seen lately that they've amped that up. They've kept it at a certain level, but now they want it reduced, which you can see carved in stone at the Georgia Guidestones in the USA. They want the population reduced by 4/5. And the medical system is set up to contribute to that, and in particular, what we're seeing now. It's a bit more obvious now, but most people don't understand that all previous injections in the arm, medicine in the arm via a needle, has actually been creating disease, not preventing it. One of what's his name? David Icke. One of the things that David Icke says is that the secret societies that they do is create a problem, get a reaction, and then provide a solution. But all of those things, problem, reaction, solution, are all designed to manipulate humans into doing what they want. So they create diseases in laboratories, release them to society, get an emotional and psychological reaction from the collective, and then offer a solution. But the solution's not a solution. It's another problem. It's another disease. So they create a disease generally through toxicity or laboratory-created pathogens. Create a whole program in the media saying that they've got the solution, but the solution is just more disease. The solution is also not just more disease, but more suppression of consciousness. So everything they do is about keeping humans at a lower state of consciousness, more manipulatable, more controllable, not allowing them to rise. So in my journey, I found that via detoxing my system of these poisons that these malevolent ones are implementing onto humans, that did allow my consciousness to rise. I had consciousness evolutionary leaps through cleaning out my body and rebuilding my body through nutrition. So that massive detox protocol at 25 years of age really shifted me on all levels, not just the physical state. It shifted my mental and emotional state as well. It allowed me to stay at a higher vibration. It opened the door for me exploring consciousness more. It led me down a path of exploring personal development work, and then later on spiritual development. And in my spiritual development, I learned how to also detoxify my soul level of consciousness. Through a lot of the spiritual development is also very similar to physical in that you need to detox. You need to clean your system out on a spiritual level. You need to empty your cup. Let go, release, clean out all of the parasitic things that the malevolent ones have put in our system. So you can see how it's all connected. The physical body shows you what you need to do on all the other levels, like I said before. Your physical body is one of your greatest teachers and tools. If you have pain in your body, it's teaching you something. If you have health problems, it's teaching you something. And it could be teaching you something mainly on the physical level, but also on all the other levels, on the mental, emotional, and spiritual levels as well. It's all connected. There's no disconnection. And part of the programming on Earth has been the malevolent ones have tried to create or stop development by telling people that they're pretty much just a physical body with a brain, and you don't need to look into the other levels of being. There's more information now on how emotions and the mental state affects the physical, but it's a lot of that information has been suppressed over the years. So for me, my consciousness development and my spiritual development then taught me and showed me how you can prevent disease from that level as well. So in my early years, I learned how giving my body the opportunity to heal through detoxification and leading a healthy lifestyle with nutrition and supplementing with minerals, how that does prevent disease. And Dr. Wallach shows you that as well in his lecture. You can take it another step further. So your conscious development can also basically eliminate the need for Western medicine in our current system. Because if you do the conscious development work and the spiritual cleansing, that allows all your other energetic systems and bodies to come into alignment. Basically, at the moment, most people are fragmented. They're fragmented on all the levels. So by doing what I've talked about, you're allowing all your systems, all your energetic bodies, all the different levels of you to come into alignment. And if you do that, you will have a stronger connection to not only your higher self, but source creation as well. And so then your living state is basically like you're walking your path. And by walking your path in alignment with your higher states of consciousness, and your not only your higher states of consciousness, but this reality's higher states of consciousness, you're going to eliminate those things that are contributing factors, what most people consider accidents and incidents. People say, well, you're going to need a hospital, for example, you're going to need a hospital for car accidents or tripping over and breaking your leg. Well, if you're walking a path in alignment with your higher states of consciousness, those things don't happen anymore. So that's what I mean by eliminating the medical fraternity out of your life. Your consciousness and spiritual development will awaken your gifts and your other senses, all the clairs. So clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, all those things will develop in you and allow you to walk a path in the light, allow you to see potentials that could cause you harm before they happen. For example, I get my intuition kicks in when there's wild animals on the road around the corner that I can't see. I get warnings to slow down. I get guidance to stay home instead of going out for a particular day that I might have had planned, because if I had have gone out that day, I potentially could have been in an accident of some sort. So by walking your path, you avoid all these incidents and accidents. By walking your path, you learn pretty quickly that there's no such thing as coincidences. Everything happens to you for a reason. Everything teaches you something. So in the past, the most recent, thing that people consider an accident for me personally was a little run-in with a kangaroo on the road. I did hit it with my car, unfortunately, because in that particular time, a few years ago, I was having a bad day, basically, and I wasn't very clear. I wasn't having a clear day, clear connection to my higher self. And the lesson was for me, I shouldn't have gone driving without getting clear first. I did receive the guidance that there was a kangaroo around the corner. I did get it, but my reaction was very slow. So I reacted a bit too slow. Or the guidance came through, but that was a little bit fuzzy. So there was a delay, and there was just enough delay for me to hit it. I did slow down. I did put on the brakes. And there wasn't much damage done to my car, but unfortunately the kangaroo didn't make it. But these animals are all part of a greater collective consciousness, and they will serve a purpose. Why is it that a kangaroo jumps out in front of another car but not someone else? It's because that person needed to learn the lesson, not because the kangaroo wanted to die. So, what time we got? Around 51 minutes. So I'll start to wind this one up. But yeah, I'll just reiterate that as I started to heal my physical state, that led me to get clarity on my mental and emotional state and where that was at, which then opened up doors for me to heal that stuff, which then, it's like peeling the layers of an onion, that allowed me to be more consciously aware of my spiritual self and my higher self and what I needed to address on that level. So it's like stepping stones. Now you can do it the other way. You could focus on your spiritual development, which will then lead you to clear up the other levels. And by cleaning up your higher conscious, your multi-dimensional aspects of you'll just automatically want to clean up your physical state. It'll just happen because it's no longer an energetic match. Yeah, so it's all about vibration and energy at the end of the day. And which another example of that is, you may have had a healing and you end up cleaning out your house. A couple of days later, you feel the need to clean your house. Why? Because it was no longer an energetic match. So you can do it the other way. But for me, it went physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It went that way, which is a lot of people I know, it goes that way because it's just all, like I said, the system makes you look at your physical state first. Society is set up that way. But if you're more aware than I was, you could start at the other end. But in saying that, if your body is pretty toxic, it actually does make it a bit harder to connect to the deeper levels of your spiritual self. So you probably won't be able to go too deep on your spirituality until you clean up your physical. Or you may go, spiritual healing, clean up house. Spiritual healing, clean up house, including, I'm talking about your body, your environment, your body and your environment. So you may go backwards and forwards for a while. So in my previous videos, I've talked about the death of the old world. So what we're witnessing right now in current society is people becoming aware. So the awareness raising, consciousness rising So that the awareness of the malevolent ones behind the medical fraternity, that is definitely increasing right now. And that exposure and that awareness growth on that system will be its demise. And as part of that death, there's going to be a lot of people really upset by that. So those are sort of a bit more advanced and down the track, and further down the road on that, will need to be around to help those people get through that, because they're going to be blown away that there was a system designed to kill people. That system was designed to hurt them, not help them. But yeah, that's all going to change very soon, I see. As we move through the death of that old system and the exposure of the malevolent system, the new ones will come in, and they already are. And frequency healing, frequency medicine will be a major part of the new systems, which I've touched on in my previous videos. The quantum med beds are there. They're ready to go. They're going to basically end they're going to be part of the end of Big Pharma, the need for Big Pharma. So the healing in the future will be very different, and these quantum med beds will give. So the word is that there's a few different types. There's a med bed for minor surgery and repair work. There's a med bed for diagnosis and frequency healing, along with UV healing, to work on people who have disease. And then there's going to be another med bed for people who aren't actually in a state of disease. They're actually fairly healthy, but it will take them to their optimum health. So it'll help their DNA be at its highest potential, and ultimately dramatically decreasing the aging process. So the current aging process, they try and tell us that, they say the average age of death as a human is around 80 something. Dr. Wellock in his lecture will tell you that he believes it's 120 plus, maybe even 150. There is some evidence in Asian countries, Tibet and China, that they have some people that have lived over 200 years through traditional Chinese medicine, and which is a system of preventative medicine. So addressing something before it becomes a disease, and a very successful system before it was corrupted as well. So our human potential is much greater than what we're told. And again, that's part of the manipulation. But through quantum healing, quantum med beds, we'll be living a lot longer, and disease will be eradicated, basically. But until that happens, until the quantum med beds are available for everyone, which will take some time for them to roll out, and highly advise cleaning out all your systems, all your bodies, putting the good stuff in. Growing your own food isn't quite enough still. You really need to refine your diet, And I've been supplementing since my 20s, because from Dr. Wallach's lecture, he tells you that the soils around the world have been pretty depleted for a long time. So they're missing a lot of major minerals. So one of the main things I supplement with is a mineral supplement, colloidal minerals. And if I can't get hold of colloidal minerals, then the next best thing is chelated minerals. I take a lot of vitamin C because unfortunately fruit is picked green these days and it's missing a lot of vitamins and minerals. So I feel currently at the moment supplementing your diet is very important. There's numerous practitioners I know using frequency healing, like the Spooky 2, Rife and Scalar technology. That stuff's awesome. Highly recommend you have sessions with those practitioners. Until this quantum healing system comes in and is available for the majority. Then yeah, pursue wellness as part of your personal and spiritual development. I think it's vital. It's a vital part of your journey. So health in the future is going to look very different. Isn't it? Imagine, think about it now. Think about a world where people aren't in a state of disease. So in previous videos, I talked about the financial system allowing people, the new quantum financial system allowing people to pursue their heart's desire because they don't have to worry about money or lack of money. And how amazing that would be. Well, also now think about a world where everyone's at their maximum health. They're not in any sort of state of disease or pain or discomfort. Can you imagine the state of vibration, how quickly that will raise the consciousness and as a collective? It's going to be pretty amazing. All right, so I've just ticked over an hour. I'm trying to keep these videos to about an hour because I know people don't have time to watch everything. And I also have to go buy some organic fruit and veg before it's too late, before the place I go to is shut. So I'll end that here. Thanks to all who listened, tuned in. Please share with anyone you feel will get value from this. And my apologies again for the technical difficulties. That was interference. It's going to be some beings that don't want this sort of information out there, so I have to be careful. Not careful, but more a little bit mindful of this technology I'm using. So whether or not I stick to YouTube, I don't know, but for the moment it's okay, but it may not be down the track, so we'll see. See what happens. I'll certainly let you know otherwise anyway. All right, lots of love everyone, and all the best, and remember to stay in your hearts and get healthy. All right, bye for now.